Welcome to Marketing Game Changer Secrets, where you will learn from one of the top leaders in the network marketing industry. Teresa Harding has grown her team to over millions of people. She's grown online, she's grown offline, she's grown organically, and she is ready to show you the secrets. She's ready to change the way you think. She truly cares about the success of her team and the people that she teaches. So get ready to learn the tips, tricks, and secrets that will allow you to grow a successful business in the 21st century.
I'm Teresa Harding, and this is Marketing Game Changer Secrets. This podcast is for people who know that this industry is not about the network marketer anymore. It's about the people we serve and the change we can make in other people's lives. It's about the entrepreneur inside each of us who is trying to find our voice. It's for the people who want to change the world and are looking for the most powerful way to make that happen. Hey, you guys, welcome back. I'm Teresa Harding, and you are joining me here at Marketing Game Changer Secrets, a podcast. So excited to have you here, and I'm excited about our topic today because I'm going to talk today about asking for help. It is sometimes a really hard thing to do, and it's hard in two different ways. Number one, sometimes it's hard for people to ask for help, of course, as we know. But the other way that it's hard is there are people who aren't afraid to ask for help, but they don't really know how to do it in an appropriate way. And so I'm going to talk about those two things today. And it's actually a really, really simple thing. It's one of those things that's easy to do, but easy not to do. And we usually, if we're not asking for help, it's because we let our brain get in the way. We let our emotions get in the way. We start worrying about, I don't want to bother them. Their time is too valuable. This is a stupid question. We have all these reasons why we don't want to ask for help. We maybe sometimes feel like we need to figure it out ourselves first. I didn't put enough effort into it to figuring it out. Okay, well, let me help you understand something. When we talk about these great scientists of the past who have discovered some amazing thing like the light bulb, we've heard the quote several times about how the light bulb was not 1,000 failures or 999 failures. The light bulb was actually a success that was 1,000 steps. It took 1,000 steps for that success to happen. But what if none of us were willing to go look at that research and look at what was discovered in creating the light bulb? And so people who want to understand electricity better, or they want to understand some of the science behind that better, they don't go look at that information. They start from scratch and begin with step one, and now they have to do the 1,000 steps because they feel like they have got to do all this stuff first before they kind of have the right to go ask these powerful, amazing, brilliant people any questions. And that might sound ridiculous, but the reality is that is what a lot of us do. We have a question, we need it answered, and we try to figure it out on our own instead of going to find the sources who have already figured it out, who are already doing it best. And it's easy to discover the right leader for us because there are a lot of leaders out there. There are a lot of people who want to be thought leaders, who have podcasts, who have YouTube channels, who have social media followings, all of this stuff, and who've become famous or big. But you've got to find who you connect with. So there might be somebody who everybody's following. They love this person. But the reality for you is that person rubs you the wrong way and you feel like they're too aggressive in their approach. Well, that might be. There are a couple things that are going on. Number one, you might need to learn to be a little bit more assertive. Or number two, maybe that's not the right leader for you. You need to find the person who fits well with you. And not the person who lets you be comfortable where you are. That is not your leader. In fact, that's the person who's helping you become a failure. You need to find someone who this is the person that makes you want to reach higher, aim for better things, and be a better person, and reach for more success so that you can have the influence that you're wanting to make in the world. So don't be afraid to ask. And what happens, the first thing that happens when you're not afraid to ask, then all of a sudden, your mind starts to open to the resources. Because at first you might think, okay, fine, I'm willing to ask, but if I'm willing to ask, then, but where do I go? Who do I ask? Well, as soon as you feel like I am going to ask, I am going to find out, then that's no longer a problem because you're going to start looking. You'll look on YouTube. You'll start looking for podcasts. You'll start listening to stuff. You'll look at books. You'll look at suggested reading for this topic, and you'll start to read different things, and you'll have your own opinion. You'll hear different podcasts and you'll think, I don't like the way this person approaches it because they're too harsh on people. Well, I love the way this person does it because they're loving and yet they're still tough. They don't let you get away with making excuses. Or you'll find the books and the genres that are going to help you in what you are trying to accomplish. And so as soon as you get past the fear of asking, and it really is fear. If you're thinking, I'm not afraid of asking, well, guess what? It is fear. If you are not going to ask, it comes from fear. It might be either fear of looking stupid, fear of admitting that you can't do it by yourself, fear of other people thinking something about you. It is fear. So get over being afraid to ask for help. Because as soon as you feel like I can ask, guess what? This is what's going to happen for you. You're not only going to you'll start to figure out the resources, and then you'll get really good at researching the resources pretty fast so that you can quickly find the ones that will actually help you. Then when you go to events, you're already going to be in a mindset where you're not afraid to go up and talk to the people. For example, I was just at a huge event. Someone presented who was really high level. Everybody wants to talk to this person. And I had some questions for this person, and I was not afraid to go up, ask my questions, knowing that there's a line behind me of people who also want to talk to this person. So I need to be thoughtful and respectful of that. But I had a couple of legitimate questions, needed to ask this person, got my questions answered, where if I still had the mindset where maybe I shouldn't ask, maybe I should do it myself, do you think I would have gone up to the front of that room to talk to that person after their presentation? Absolutely not. I would never have done that. So you start to change. You become the kind of person who wants to learn, who wants to find out. And you might think, well, I'm afraid to ask, but I want to learn. Well, guess what? If you are still not asking, you're still letting yourself be in that place where you're kind of afraid to ask, guess what happens? You aren't really going to be learning. Not in the same way. You'll learn, but you'll learn way slower. So work hard to get past that. Be humble. And honestly, you guys, it's pride. Pride is involved. Because if we humble ourselves and go, dude, I need to learn this and I got to find out who's already done it better than me. Who has already done it the best? And I'll tell you what, that has become my standard. When I want to know how to do something, I start doing some research, some brief research online, trying to figure out, okay, who are the names that keep coming up? Who are with the reviews? Who are the people that everybody is kind of saying these are the best? Because that's a good place to start. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the one you'll agree with. It's a great place to start. So I go to those and then I start getting an idea of where I need to look, who I'm going to reach out to. And sometimes I'll find the answer really easily on podcasts. There's so much information out there now. And the more you do it, the better you get at identifying the information that is valuable. Because there's information out there that's not as valuable. There's information out there that's mediocre. It's a little bit valuable, but not that great, or not as helpful. So you might find information that seems really valuable because the person who's speaking is extremely fun to listen to and really good at talking to people and really good at getting buy-in. But their content doesn't really get you a lot of results. So just be watching for all of those things and recognize when, dude, I'm listening to this person out of entertainment because they're awesome, but I don't usually get results from their stuff. This is somebody I read their books or I listen to their stuff or I go to their trainings because I know every time I go, I'm going to up-level my skills, my business changes, and I start making more money or whatever it is that you're looking for. Okay, the second type of person is the type of person who doesn't know how to be appropriate in their asking. So for example, I'll use some of the examples I talked about before. If I'm in line with someone at the end of a presentation and I know a lot of people are behind me and they probably only have 20 minutes to talk, I better take 30 seconds or less because a lot of people still want to talk to them. Be respectful of that. So some people will come, let's say I'm presenting, I'll have people come up to me and they'll ask me questions. And the last thing I want to do is act like, hey, I don't want to talk to you anymore. But I see the line of 50 people who still want to talk to me, and I know I've got to start presenting again in a half hour. I don't have enough time to take 5 minutes for every person, and I'm happy to help as long as I can. And sometimes, granted, there is someone who maybe they have, in my company, I help people with health challenges. Sometimes I'll work with someone who has a pretty severe situation and they need a little bit more time. That's great. Or I might connect with them and say, you know what, let's talk some more after the event, whatever. I'll figure out a way to help them. I want to be compassionate. I want to help people. That's the whole reason I do what I do. So what's the point of shoving them off if I'm finally in a place where, because I have this influence, now I have someone who is asking me for help. Well, now I can help them. But if you're the person in the line, be respectful. Don't keep bugging them for more time. I'll have people who ask me a question and then I'll give them the answer. Then they'll ask another question, I'll give them the answer. And other people are waiting and I can tell they're so excited to be able to be there talking that they'll keep talking more and more and more. And it's not that bothers me. It's just that there are people waiting and I need to split up my time and so that I can help more people. So one thing I do as a presenter, if you're in that situation where you're having a hard time and you want to reach more people, is what I will do is I will kind of start to stand in such a way that now instead of the line being a single line, now we're sort of gathered in a group. So if I'm answering one person's question, then everyone can hear, or a lot of people in the front of the line can hear what I'm saying because they're learning from what I'm talking about to that one individual. That way, I'm kind of maximizing the amount of help I can give everyone. So that's something that maybe you can do. If somebody's asking you a business question about your compensation plan, I can guarantee you 90% of the people in that line, even if their question was something different, they're going to be interested in the answer that you have to give, especially if you're pretty experienced. So that you'll give them a perspective they might not have thought of, or you might teach them something new that they'd never heard before. So another way that I've had that people will be inappropriate is, let's say that I'm sitting down in a setting and someone will sit on the end of the row and start talking to me, and I kind of have no way out unless they leave. Now, we'll do other podcast episodes about boundaries, because I'll tell you I'm big on that. And I have no problem saying to the person, if we're talking and it goes a little bit long, I'm not going to say, okay, I have to go right now. But I will say, okay, maybe we can do one more question and then I've got to go. And I say it like I'm in a hurry, because I am. I'm not ever going to lie about it, but they'll ask me one more question. And sometimes they'll even ask a really detailed question where if you can start to tell that they're just trying to get you to give them as much time as possible, and they're being really honestly kind of not very thoughtful. They're being actually kind of rude sometimes. Then I will say, so you set your own boundaries, of course, but don't be that person, number one. And second of all, I'll say, let's say I said, okay, I can give you, we'll do one more question, then I probably have to go. And then they'll ask their question. It might be a kind of a long, really long drawn out thing. And I'll say, well, the part that I can answer is this. And I'll give them the quick answer or whatever I can give right then. And I say, and for the rest of that, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write that question down, because that would be a good topic for one of my Facebook Lives or my podcast. And I can put that on there, and I'm going to keep that on my list of questions I'll answer. So be watching for that there. And I'd love to have more time, but I've got to go. And sometimes people will even say again, oh, well, just one more thing. I'm so sorry, but I've got to go. So you've got to learn to set your own boundaries if you're the one that is getting asked these questions, but also think about the person that you are being inappropriate with. If you are trying to snag their time and you're not being thoughtful of the fact that they need to go somewhere, they have other things to do, they still need to eat dinner before the evening event or whatever, just make sure you're thoughtful of that. But at the same time, some people think that they are so thoughtful that they don't even go ask the question. That's not appropriate. That's not appropriate either, because I am there. I have sacrificed my time to get to Australia. Let's say, I was in Australia a few weeks ago. I was in Australia. I did an Australia tour to Sydney, Gold Coast, Perth. I think, I went those 3 locations. Well, guess what? I'm so excited to go. We had awesome reunions, by the way, with people my old friends there that I hadn't been there in a while. And I met a lot of new people on my team or on other people's teams that I hadn't met before. So that was really exciting. But I've come all this way. I have sacrificed my time from my family. I've paid for the plane ticket. I have paid for the venue. I'm doing all of this so that I can help you. And if you decide, oh no, I don't want to bother her, I'd rather stay a little longer at the end of the event than to leave and have people not get the help that they needed. Now, I'm not going to stay till midnight or whatever, but if you're that person and you're not sure, but you want to be thoughtful, then come up to me and say, hey, I have a question for you, but I know it's getting late. Do you have time for one more? Just be thoughtful. Be thoughtful of other people and minimize the amount of time so that you don't take up everybody else's time. And the last thing I would say about keeping it appropriate is if you're let's say you're in a group coaching call or you're in a group situation where you can ask a question. Ask questions that are helpful to the whole group. If it's a rare, weird question that only applies to you and you're the only one that this is probably going to be relevant to, then that might not be the best setting to ask that question. If a lot of times I'll have a question, we might be on a group call with all the top leaders in our company, and we're with corporate, and I have a question about something. If I ask it one way, it only helps me because it's my specific situation. But if I ask it a little bit more generically, I can get a lot of help in most of what I need or all of what I need. But it's also, I've asked it in a way that the way they respond can help a lot of people, because a lot of people are having similar situations. And so then they can fit it to their specific situation. So think of those things. Don't be afraid to ask for what you need. I think most people have a problem asking. There's a smaller percentage of people who have no problem asking and try to hound too much and are inappropriate about it. But be careful of either way. Hopefully that helps. And you guys, I'll see you in the next podcast. Bye.